What is going on, my beautiful LARPers and LARPettes? Today we're going to go over how to make your futuristic ps90 look more futuristic. Now, it's kind of weird saying that just because this platform or this design has been out basically since the 90s, and I guess it's one of the guns that I kind of still think it's very futuristic looking, even though it's very old. I love the fact that there's still companies that are coming out with parts for this gun here, and it wasn't left in the dust. I think the ps90 or the p90 are very cool guns, just based on what they look. They're very iconic. They've been used in a lot of movies. They're always in all the Call of Duty games. Anybody that I know that's played Call of Duty, especially myself, always grabs a ps90 and starts mowing down some people with. And I'm pretty sure some of you have been mowed down quite a lot, and maybe the ps90 just pisses you off just because you know that it's always taking you out. But in this video, I'm just gonna highlight the companies that I used on this build here and basically go over the parts that I slapped on here and just let you know how these parts have been working out for me. But before I get into all that, what is my relationship with these companies that basically have created this firearm here? Now, first off, I did not get this firearm from FN, but I want to give a huge shout out to Brownells for actually having this in stock, because I don't really see these too often. And Brownells is one of the companies that I usually go to that has those more weird, or not weird, I would say they have, sometimes they have the stuff that you can't find. Thank you, Brownells, so much for having this in stock and getting this in my hands. Next up is two of the companies that I basically use to put all these accessories on here. Haga Defense is one of the companies, and I purchased some parts from him and he threw in some parts. And HB Industries is another company that I used on this build here, and they were kind enough to send over basically everything for this ps90 that they make. But before HB Industries actually sent me that stuff, I did buy quite a few parts from them years ago for my Streebogs and some of my other CZs and stuff like that. So thank you, HB Industries and Haga Defense, for hooking this build up. Now, let's start with the ps90, right? The ps90, and those of you that don't know what the ps90 is essentially a p90 with a longer barrel and a non-fully automatic, the neutered down version of the p90 basically. And those of you that have seen the ps90 before know how much of an eyesore it is to see this 16-inch barrel sticking out at the front of this gun here. Normally people who pick up the ps90 would go out and pay that dumb $200 tax stamp just to SBR it to look like the p90. But rest assured, if you don't want to pay that dumb $200 tax stamp, you can go ahead and pick up one of these forends from Haga Defense. So this is a polymer style forend. They also make aluminum forends, and they also make a forend that's suppressor compatible. So if you did end up chopping your barrel down and you want to run a suppressor on there, Haga Defense makes one that's a little bit thicker at the front where you can put on your suppressor. I think that this kind of sets off the whole build. This makes it look even more futuristic than it already was. It also makes it look a little bit less goofy than just having that thin barrel sticking out of the front of that. The features on here are basically just M-lock at the bottom, just one slot at the bottom. Then you have 3 slots on the left and the right, and you have, I believe, 1 or 2 slots at the top. I'd have to take this off, but I think it's 2 slots at the top. And I just went ahead and put a 1913 M-lock adapter on there. And as far as install goes, it's extremely simple. All you have to do is take off this bolt here and line everything up, screw that in, and stick the 2 bolts on the left and right side, and that keeps it from shifting on you. And on the topic of shifting, I talked to Haga Defense and asked him, what do you think about putting a laser on this rail here? Since it is polymer, I'm a little bit worried about like it flexing and stuff like that if I put a laser on it, and I might potentially lose 0. But he said out of the hundreds that he's sold, he hasn't had any reports of somebody saying, hey, my laser's not holding zero on it. For me, I would like to have more testing behind it with a laser to actually give my full opinion on if I were to actually just leave a laser mounted on there. But as of now, I'm going to move that laser to a different position, and I'm not going to put this laser on here. I'm going to get a smaller one. Just because I think this is a little bit too bulky for this build here. But overall, it's a very ergonomic grip. I like that a lot more than holding it back here. When I'm holding the ps90 back here, I feel like I'm a little bit more scrunched up. But when I'm holding it up here, I feel like I'm holding a SBR AR-15. Very, very ergonomic, and I do like that it comes with this little hook at the front so you don't accidentally kind of put your finger out here. And if you'll notice on the top here, I do have my pressure pad switch for my flashlight, and I'll get into the flashlight in a little bit. Now moving on back on the ps90, I have this little lever here that pops out. This is by K&M Aerospace, I believe that's the name of it. They sell these pretty cool nifty levers here that once you rack it and it goes forward, it'll flip back down. I didn't get the other side just because I am a righty and I don't feel like I'm ever gonna charge it from that side. But I feel like that is a pretty big upgrade to get because those little nubs there will kind of slip if I would try to do a speed reload. Moving on down, I have this Haga Defense aluminum skeletonized trigger. Now, I really like this trigger design. I feel like it makes the gun pop a little bit more. I'm all about aesthetics, guys, if you haven't noticed. I really like when a gun looks super sexy and sleek. The original plastic trigger on there was nothing wrong with it, right? But it just makes it look a little bit cooler. I do like the feel a little bit better on this aluminum trigger than the plastic one. Alrighty, now moving on to the HB Industry parts. There's quite a few on this build. And starting at the left side here, you have a 1913 adapter. And within this adapter, you have two QD slots here. And basically, I'm going to use this 1913 adapter to mount a laser to. I'm still kind of conflicted on putting it on the rail. I just want this real estate so I can use a dual pressure pad. So what I'm going to do is mount a laser here and get the dual pressure pad that will lead up to my flashlight and to that laser. I am going to add a sling, most likely from the rear portion, and it's going to go and directly connect to this HB Industries QD sling adapter here on the back of it. Now on the right side, this is another HB Industries part. It is the Surefire Pro adapter. I have like this little mini Scout setup here with a Malkoff light head. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap out this mini Scout light and get a larger Surefire Pro on there, just because every time I push the pressure pad, it gives off a silhouette of my thumb. I don't know if you can see that right there. You can see that it's like kind of highlighting my thumb quite a bit, and I can see that in my light. I'm going to get a larger one that sticks out a little bit further, and hopefully it goes, or the light is going to go over my thumb. I'm kind of trying to figure out if I'm going to put a white light or an IR light with a smaller laser, or use this laser with the illuminator on here, IR illuminator, and the white light there. So what are your guys' suggestions on that? Do you think that I should keep it set up this way and just slap this laser on here with the illuminator and call it a day and get that dual pressure pad, or should I kind of reconfigure this whole little setup here? But that's the glory of having something like this, right? You can kind of mix and match. I could even move this light over to this side and move this rail over to that side, so that way the laser and illuminator isn't on my hand here. I don't think it would be, because when I'm putting it on here just like that, it kind of can't really strap that on there correctly, but it kind of clears on the left side there, if you can see. Sorry if I'm pointing this right at you guys, but you can see that it's not even in the way. But maybe if I'm moving around or something, it's gonna get in the way. Who knows? That's the fun part, guys. It's figuring out what works for you. Now moving on to the optic setup, I really like this mount here. This is the HB Industries low profile optic mount. and I'm able to put on my primary arms Cyclops, or this is the Gemini. This is mostly for 9mm, but I just slapped this on here just because that's what I had lying around. But HB Industries also makes these low profile mounts for other optics that are out there. But I do like that it fits really low. Now originally I didn't really feel the need that I had to have this a little bit taller, just because I was just shooting it the way it's set up now with no laser or anything. And this lines up with my eyes really nice. But now that I'm kind of contemplating putting a laser on here and getting this set up for night vision shooting, I'm most likely going to have to move this optic up. So that is going to allow me to passively aim with my night vision and this optic here. And for those of you that might find that a little weird that this optic's going to be sitting a little bit too tall for this cheek weld here, you do have the option of purchasing a cheek weld from Haga Defense that will fit directly. So I would have to kind of get rid of this QD attachment point and put on the cheek weld that kind of lets it sit a little bit higher so you can see that optic. For when you're not using night vision, you can still comfortably shoot. And I'll put a picture up around here. But more than likely, I'm going to buy that cheek weld piece for this ps90. There's quite a few upgrades that are still available for the ps90, but I feel like this is generally the most practical of what you're going to need. Like for you larger people out there with longer arms than me, Haga Defense does sell butt pad adapter things that make the length of pull basically a little bit longer than what it is now. Like I said, when you're kind of holding this here and have that stock so short, you feel a little bit more scrunched up than a normal like AR-15 or a normal like PCC or sub gun or something like that. This is a very small little package. It may not look like it now just because it has this dumb 16-inch barrel thing going on. But when you do have a shorter version, it is a very compact package. But overall, all of these parts have been working extremely well for me. I don't feel any type of movement or wiggle or anything here. Everything that I mounted is extremely solid. And I've shot around, and here's a testimonial on a brand new ps90 that I put in my hands. I shot around 1,000 rounds of this Fiocchi 40 grain and 35 grain ammo, and it's worked flawlessly. And the ps90 in itself is a very smooth little shooter. But when you have that 16-inch barrel, it kind of makes you feel like lame, right? It makes you feel like, damn, like I wish I could have the real thing, shorter barrel, full auto. But I feel like these upgrades that Haga Defense and HB Industries make it really pop and make you fall back in love with having a ps90 that is neutered. But overall, do I think these upgrades are necessary? Yes and no. I mean, the no part is essentially how I think of any gun that you upgrade, right? I think that before upgrade, you should always learn the platform that you're shooting or the firearm that you're shooting and get proficient at it and shoot tons of rounds with it and pay for classes. That's just the general on any upgrade. But aside from that, this does open a lot of real estate and possibility on how you can configure the ps90 itself. I'm gonna do a update video on this gun on how I'm gonna finalize the last configuration when I kind of say, yeah, this is it, this is how I want it. But as of now, I just wanted to show you guys something cool if you had a ps90 and didn't know any of the upgrades that were out there that you could potentially have to make it look very cool and futuristic. Before I sign out, I know I've seen this gun on a lot of Call of Duty games, but I don't know if this forend has been in the Call of Duty games. So has it been on Battlefield? I'm kind of out of the loop right now. Having kids for the past, I don't know how many years, have kind of just thrown me off of the video gaming scene. And I'm kind of trying to catch up lately, and I don't know what guns are in video games anymore. But if this is on a Battlefield game or a Call of Duty game, what is the actual name of this whole setup here? But anyways, thank you guys so much for sticking around. I love you all. Catch you on the next one.